Hello, miladies of inestimable value. You think she's quiet because she's shy. No, she's quiet because she already figured you out in 5 seconds. Some women walk into the room looking for attention. Sigma females walk in with X-ray vision and a withdrawal plan. They're not the loudest, but they're the ones you can't stop watching. They don't beg to be understood, they dare you to try. Here's the twist most people can't handle. Asterisk Sigma females aren't trying to be mysterious. They just operate on a frequency most people can't hear. And when the world can't decode you, it labels you as cold, intimidating, or too much. But in truth, she's just too real for the performance most people are addicted to. Fact, studies show that introverted, independent thinkers often trigger discomfort in those who rely on group validation. So if a Sigma female makes people squirm, it's not her. It's their delusion shattering in real time. And let's be honest, she's not difficult. She's just allergic to stupidity, superficiality, and small talk that lasts longer than 6.4 seconds. So buckle up, because we're about to uncover 12 brutal, unfiltered, and wildly accurate truths about Sigma females that most people don't just misunderstand, they flat out can't handle. And if any of these truths sting, well, maybe you weren't ready for her in the first place. Number 1. She doesn't need validation, but she pays attention to who keeps withholding it. She doesn't need your validation. That's the first thing most people get wrong about a Sigma female. She's not out here fishing for compliments, approval, or applause. In fact, she operates just fine without them. But that doesn't mean she isn't paying attention. She notices the way people withhold validation on purpose, like it's some kind of control mechanism. You know the type. People who compliment everyone else in the room, but go silent when it's her turn. People who act like being proud of her would somehow shrink them. She sees it every time. Here's the thing. Validation, when given genuinely, is a beautiful thing. Everyone deserves recognition when it's earned, but when it's used like a reward system, something dangled over her head to keep her humble or obedient, it backfires. And not because she's desperate for it, but because she knows exactly why you're holding it back, and she's not going to play that game. What most people can't handle is that she'll walk away without saying a word. No confrontation, no drama, no begging for approval. She'll just start pulling her energy back. The distance will grow. The calls will stop. The eye contact will shift. And by the time you realize what happened, you'll be left talking to a version of her that's no longer emotionally available. She's not punishing you. She's just done pretending not to notice. She understands that people weaponize silence. They try to control confident women by starving them of praise. But Sigma females don't starve. They self-sustain. They don't crumble under neglect. They become sharper, quieter, and more surgical with their presence. And here's the real plot twist. The more you withhold, the less she values your opinion at all. What started as her watching you ends with her not seeing you at all. So, no, she doesn't need validation. But if you think your silence is invisible to her, you've already misunderstood the kind of woman you're dealing with. Number 2, she's not guarded. She's selective with surgical precision. She's not walking around with emotional armor because she's been hurt too many times. That's the lazy assumption people make. They think she's guarded, closed off, or hard to get through to. But here's the truth. She's not building walls. She's running filters, and not just any filters. We're talking high-level, zero-tolerance, razor-sharp filtration systems built to detect inconsistency, fake intentions, shallow energy, and emotional shortcuts. She doesn't shut people out. She just doesn't let everyone in. There's a difference, and most people don't like being told they didn't make the cut. People confuse availability with kindness. They expect open doors from everyone. But a Sigma female doesn't run an emotional open house. She'll smile, she'll engage, but she's scanning you the whole time. Not in a judgmental way, in a precise, measured way. She's asking herself, are you aligned with the values I live by? Do you speak with integrity or just perform it? Are you someone who carries depth? Or are you cosplaying emotional maturity? If the answer is no, you won't even know you've been dismissed. She won't explode or ghost you dramatically. You just won't gain access. You'll stay at the surface, wondering why you never seem to get past the cool and polite version of her. It's not because she's afraid of intimacy. It's because she doesn't waste intimacy on tourists. She knows how much energy it takes to let someone in, how vulnerable it is to share your world, your thoughts, your rhythm. She's not throwing that away on people who treat connection like a convenience store. In and out, no depth, no accountability. And if you think you can fake your way past the gate, think again. She's studied human behavior like a language. She can spot performative confidence, love bombing, spiritual bypassing, and fake deep talk in seconds. So no, she's not guarded. She's not cold. She's just too precise to hand out front row seats to people who haven't even earned standing room. Number 3, she doesn't argue. She withdraws and lets reality prove her right. She doesn't argue because she doesn't need to. She's mastered the power of silence in a world that's obsessed with noise. When people come at her with lies, manipulation, or cheap shots, she doesn't clap back. She just checks out. Not because she can't defend herself, but because she refuses to waste energy proving something to someone who's already decided not to understand her. She's not here to win petty debates or out-talk someone into truth. She knows that arguing with certain people is like trying to explain color to someone who's chosen to keep their eyes closed. It's not her job to drag anyone to awareness. She just steps back and lets life do what it does best, reveal everything in time. And trust this, time is always on her side. She's seen it happen over and over. The person who lied on her eventually exposes themselves. The one who tried to make her look crazy ends up unraveling in public. The truth always circles back, always. She just doesn't need to be the one screaming, "I told you so." Her silence isn't weakness, it's precision, it's strategy. She doesn't need to explode, over-explain, or convince anyone of her worth. She lets distance do the talking. And in that distance, reality starts peeling back the layers people tried so hard to cover up. Meanwhile, she's somewhere minding her peace, building her next chapter, and not even checking if you finally get it. By the time you realize she was right, she's already too far ahead to care. She understands something most people don't. When someone tries to bait you into an argument, they're not looking for clarity. They're looking for control. She refuses to give them that satisfaction, so she just removes herself and trusts the process. It's not passive, it's powerful. Because while others are throwing verbal punches, the Sigma female is calmly watching their credibility collapse under its own weight. She doesn't fight to be right. She just is, and lets the rest fall into place. Number 4, she's not lonely. She's simply not starving for noise. She's not lonely, she's just surrounded by a world that's uncomfortable with quiet. The moment she chooses solitude, people start whispering, "Is she okay?" or "She must be sad." But here's the truth they miss completely. She's not escaping life. She's recharging from the chaos of it. Most people can't go 5 minutes without checking their phone, turning on the TV, scrolling, swiping, or drowning themselves in noise. They've mistaken constant stimulation for connection and silence for suffering. But the Sigma female, she doesn't chase noise to feel alive. She doesn't need a crowd to feel validated. She actually enjoys her own company. And that's what makes people uncomfortable. Her alone time isn't a punishment. It's a power move. It's where she processes, plans, breathes, and reconnects with herself. While others are out trying to fill their emptiness with company, attention, or artificial connection, she's at peace in her own mind. Not because she's antisocial, but because she's anti-fake. People think something's wrong with her because she's not constantly surrounded by people. But here's what they don't get. She'd rather sit in silence than participate in shallow energy. Small talk exhausts her. Forced laughter irritates her. So she exits quietly, not because she's bitter, but because she's disciplined about what enters her mental space. And no, she's not waiting for the right person to come along and save her. That storyline doesn't apply here. She's not a damsel in emotional distress. If she meets someone great, fine. If not, even better. She's got plans, goals, peace, and more depth in her solitude than most people find in rooms full of noise. You see, people who need constant company usually can't sit with their own thoughts. That's not her problem. She's already made peace with herself, and she protects that peace like a vault. Not because she's cold, but because she's finally realized the difference between being alone and being surrounded by the wrong energy. So no, she's not lonely. She's just not starving for the kind of noise that most people mistake for love. Number 5. She doesn't want to fit in because she's not trying to fit in. She never was. The whole concept feels foreign to her, like wearing clothes 3 sizes too small just because everyone else is doing it. While most people bend, shrink, and twist themselves to match whatever's trending, the Sigma female quietly opted out. Not out of rebellion, not out of arrogance, but because she realized early on that the world most people are obsessed with blending into was never built for her rhythm, her mind, or her depth. She doesn't need a seat at your table. She built her own. And not just the table, but the entire room, the architecture, the blueprint. Everything in her life is by design. From her habits to her beliefs to the people she chooses to keep around. It's all intentional. That's why she doesn't flinch when people misunderstand her. She's not here to be understood by the masses. She's here to live in alignment, even if that means walking paths no one else wants to take. You'll never see her jump on a bandwagon just because it's popular. She's immune to peer pressure in all its modern disguises. Trends, groupthink, fake empowerment movements, performative politics, even spiritual one-upmanship. She doesn't follow what's loud. She follows what's real. That's what makes her different. That's what makes her a threat. And when people try to pull her into their version of the world, one filled with comparison, competition, fake closeness, or shallow victories, she steps back. Not because she's intimidated, but because she knows it's not her frequency. It's static. It's noise. It doesn't match the life she's designed with clarity and intention. This is what most don't get. Fitting in would require her to betray parts of herself she worked hard to reclaim. That's not a compromise she's willing to make, ever. So while others chase belonging through sameness, she finds peace in sovereignty. She doesn't need your approval. She already has something better, a life that feels like home to her, even if no one else understands it. Number 6. Her respect can't be bought, flattered, or faked into existence. Her respect isn't up for sale, and it's definitely not something you can earn with empty compliments or well-rehearsed charm. A Sigma female sees through that instantly. She's not impressed by flashy titles, curated personas, or the kind of niceness that feels like it was pulled from a script. You could walk in with 1 million followers, designer clothes, or a silver tongue, and she still wouldn't blink if your energy doesn't match your words. What most people don't realize is that she's scanning everything. Not just what you say, but how you say it, why you're saying it, and what your eyes do while you're saying it. She picks up on forced laughter, subtle manipulation, calculated compliments, and those fake "I'm a good person" performances people use to buy their way into someone's good graces. None of it lands. Not with her. She doesn't need followers. She needs integrity. She doesn't need praise. She needs presence. And she doesn't care if you call her queen or say she's different from the rest. If you're saying it just to get something from her, she's already mentally walked out the door. That's the brutal truth. Her respect is earned through consistency, honesty, and energy that matches intention. It's built slowly, quietly, and it doesn't come with discounts. She watches how you treat people when there's nothing in it for you. She watches how you act when no one's watching. She watches what you do when things don't go your way. And the moment she senses that your kindness is a costume or your confidence is a cover-up, she detaches. No arguments, no warning, just a subtle shift in energy. Like a door quietly closing that you didn't even realize you were standing in front of. She's not cold. She's not arrogant. She's just allergic to fake energy and deeply loyal to truth. So if you're trying to impress her, don't. Just be real. That's the only language she speaks. Number 7. She doesn't talk about revenge. She just erases you from her entire universe. She doesn't scream. She doesn't post cryptic messages online. She doesn't gather a crowd to watch you burn. That's not her style. A Sigma female doesn't believe in revenge the way most people do, because she knows that reacting keeps her tethered to the very thing she's trying to rise above. And that's a waste of her time, her energy, and her peace. When someone crosses her, disrespects her, or reveals who they really are in the worst way, she doesn't spiral, she recalibrates. And the recalibration is simple. Delete. Not block and check later. Not unfollow and talk about it endlessly. just gone. Energetically, emotionally, mentally. You no longer exist in her reality. She doesn't need to destroy you, she just stops acknowledging your presence. It's clean, it's surgical, and it's final. This is what makes her terrifying to those who've underestimated her. They expect drama, they expect a breakdown. What they get is indifference so sharp it cuts deeper than any argument ever could. One day, you were someone she invested in. The next, it's like you were never even a sentence in her story. She doesn't do this to punish you. She does it to protect herself. She's not driven by revenge because revenge still centers the other person. She's not trying to show you anything. She just no longer considers you relevant. And that quiet dismissal, that emotional disappearance, that's what makes people panic, because they realize too late that they didn't just lose access to her, they lost significance. While others might spend months plotting revenge or obsessing over closure, she's somewhere elevating, healing, building, and upgrading. Not because she's unbothered, but because she knows her power isn't in retaliation. It's in removing the power you once had over her. She doesn't throw fire, she just takes away the oxygen. And once you're out of her universe, there's no re-entry, no comeback, no redo, just silence, and the sound of your own absence echoing where her energy used to be. Number 8, she'll support you without needing credit, and walk away without needing closure. She's the one who shows up when no one's watching, the one who helps behind the scenes without asking for praise, recognition, or a standing ovation. A Sigma female supports you quietly, not because she's trying to prove anything, but because that's who she is. She'll hype you up in rooms you're not even in. She'll give you advice, time, care, and energy when you need it most, all without expecting a receipt or a shout-out. Her love language? Loyalty without a spotlight. But here's what people don't understand. Just because she doesn't demand credit doesn't mean she's blind to being taken for granted. She's observing, always. She notices when the support starts becoming expected, when the appreciation disappears, when her value becomes background noise, and when she sees that shift. She doesn't start arguments or ask for gratitude. She just starts detaching. She won't beg you to see her worth. She won't sit you down and make a case for why she deserves respect. That's not how she moves. She leaves, quietly, gracefully, completely. One day you'll look around and realize she's gone. Not angry, not bitter, just gone. Like a light that went off in a room you didn't know she was lighting. And the worst part? There's no grand exit, no final text, no emotional outburst you can respond to. She doesn't need closure because she was the closure. Her presence was the gift. And when you mishandled it, she took it back, not to punish you, but to protect her peace. People who are used to emotional messiness can't handle this kind of exit. They expect chaos, not calm, but that's what makes her different. She doesn't just walk away, she erases the emotional thread. No loops, no lingering, just a clean cut that leaves you wondering how someone so present could vanish so completely. She gives without keeping score, but the second the energy feels unreciprocated or transactional, she chooses silence over resentment, distance over conflict, and absence over begging. And once she's gone, you don't just lose her support. You lose the version of yourself that only she believed in. Number 9, she doesn't fall in love, she observes first. She doesn't fall in love like everyone else. There's no impulsive dive, no emotional freefall, no instant attachment masked as chemistry. A Sigma female doesn't lose herself in romance. She studies it quietly, intently. Before she lets anyone in, she observes. She doesn't ask, "Do you love me?" She's asking, "Do you even know how to?" And she won't say a word about it until she has answers. While others rush to connect, she's scanning deeper, how you handle silence, how you treat people who can't benefit you, what your eyes do when you talk about your past. She notices everything, the cracks in your mask, the little lies you think are harmless, the gaps between your words and your actions. And while you're busy trying to impress her, she's already clocked the patterns you try to hide. She's not afraid of love. She just doesn't romanticize it. She doesn't want a storyline. She wants substance. And if what you're offering is all packaging and no soul, she'll smile, nod, and mentally walk away before you even notice her interest fading. Because she's not falling for potential. She's weighing your foundation, your emotional structure, your spiritual plumbing, the architecture of your soul. And that's the part that unnerves people. She sees through the charm, the performances, the calculated vulnerability. You can't seduce her with surface. You either match her depth or you vanish from her radar. This is why so many people mistake her as emotionally unavailable. It's not that she's closed off, it's that she's intentional. Her heart is high-value real estate. You don't get in just because you knocked on the door. You earn your way in by being real, rooted, and emotionally fluent. She's not playing hard to get. She's just not playing at all. If love comes, it has to walk, not run, through a corridor of clarity, honesty, and depth. Because to a Sigma female, love isn't about falling. It's about recognizing a soul that's already built to walk beside hers, not shake the ground beneath it. Number 10. She's attracted to depth, not power. Power doesn't impress her, not the flashy kind, not the kind that needs to be announced, flaunted, or bought. Influence, status, wealth, those things are surface level to her. Background noise, decorative fluff. The Sigma female isn't drawn to what the world chases. She's attracted to depth. Real, piercing, soul-level depth. The kind that can't be faked, packaged, or posted. You could walk into the room with 1 million followers and a Rolex on your wrist, and she wouldn't even flinch. What she's looking for isn't on your resume. It's in your inner world. How do you think when no one's listening? What drives you when there's no applause? Can you sit with your own darkness and not run from it? That's the kind of power she respects. Not the external kind, but the internal kind. The type that comes from self-awareness, wisdom, and emotional fluency. She listens more to how you speak about others than how you speak about yourself. She watches how you respond to discomfort, not just how you perform confidence. You can be rich, connected, or important, but if your thoughts are predictable and your soul is undeveloped, you become invisible to her. What turns her head is nuance, complexity, a mind that thinks in layers, not headlines. Someone who can talk about life, death, identity, creation, purpose, chaos, and mean it. She's not entertained by surface talk. She wants to know what shaped you, what broke you, what rebuilt you, and whether or not you've actually met yourself yet. This is why shallow people often feel ignored by her, because they are. She's not rude. She's just not available for small-mindedness, ego games, or performative connection. She can spot artificial depth instantly. You can quote philosophers and still bore her. You can name-drop spiritual teachers and still miss her entirely. Why? Because none of that matters if it doesn't show up in how you live, breathe, and treat people. To her, depth is magnetic because it's rare. A mind that thinks like a secret city, layered, mysterious, and alive, is more irresistible than any title or checkbook could ever be. She doesn't need your power. She needs your substance. And if you don't have that, you'll never hold her attention, let alone her heart. Number 11. She's not cold. She just refuses to fake warmth for social points. She's not cold. She's just honest. That's the part people confuse. We live in a world where fake politeness is currency, where people smile to your face, flatter you behind your back, and post performative kindness online to be seen as good. The Sigma female wants no part of that. She doesn't do hugs for show or empty small talk to keep the mood light. If she likes you, you'll know. If she doesn't, you'll know that too. Not because she's rude, but because she simply won't pretend. She's not going to fake a connection she doesn't feel. She won't force laughter when your joke wasn't funny or pretend to be touched by a story that didn't move her. That's not cruelty. That's just emotional clarity. She doesn't use warmth as a tool for approval. She gives it when it's real, not when it's expected. And that unsettles people who rely on charm to get by. In most social circles, being fake nice is a survival tactic. Say the right thing, smile the right way, play the game. Sigma females don't play it. She values authenticity over likability. You can keep your charm and your curated image. She's more interested in whether you're real when the spotlight's off, whether you show up for people when it's inconvenient, whether your character still holds when there's nothing to gain. She doesn't need everyone to like her. That's not her goal. She'd rather be misunderstood for her honesty than loved for a version of herself that doesn't exist. So yes, she may come off as distant, blunt, or too serious. but only to people who expect fake warmth as a social default. To the ones who actually matter, her energy is refreshing, pure, grounded, honest. If she cares about you, her loyalty will be unshakable. She'll support you in silence, defend you without needing recognition, and show up when no one else does. But if she doesn't connect with you, she won't fake it for appearances. She has no interest in wasting anyone's time, least of all her own. So no, she's not cold. She just refuses to manufacture emotions to make other people comfortable. Her warmth is real, and that's exactly why it's rare. Number 12. She doesn't just outgrow people. She evolves out of their entire reality. She doesn't just move on from people. She outgrows the entire reality they exist in. The conversations, the mindset, the values, the energy, all of it becomes background noise to her once she starts leveling up internally. And the shift isn't loud or dramatic. There's no fight, no long explanation. One day, you're in her world. The next, she's vibrating in a different dimension you no longer have access to. That's the part that stings for most people. They don't get dumped or cut off. They get left behind spiritually. Not because she's being cold, but because she's evolving, and your energy stayed stagnant. It's not about her being better. It's about her being different now. The version of her that tolerated inconsistency, entertained shallow conversations, or overlooked red flags doesn't live here anymore. You see, for a Sigma female, growth is constant. She doesn't stay stuck in cycles out of comfort. The moment she realizes something or someone is limiting her, draining her, or simply no longer aligned with her truth, she starts detaching, quietly, instinctively, without resentment. And it's not to teach you a lesson or make you chase her. It's because your presence no longer fits in the life she's building. People who are used to being chased or forgiven over and over again don't understand this kind of exit. They expect conflict or closure, but she offers neither. She doesn't replace you. She bypasses you. Because now she's operating in a space where your old patterns, your lack of depth, your emotional games no longer even register. Her evolution isn't about switching people. It's about upgrading realities. And the reality she's stepping into? It's clearer, quieter, deeper, and more aligned with her values. There's no room for those who still operate from ego, chaos, or emotional immaturity. What hurts the most for those left behind isn't that she's gone. It's that they can still see her but can't reach her anymore. Because she's no longer walking away. She's already beyond the version of life where you existed. At the end of the day, the Sigma female doesn't ask for understanding. She simply exists, fully and unapologetically. She moves differently, not because she's trying to be different, but because her wiring demands it. Her silence isn't emptiness, it's strategy. Her solitude isn't sadness, it's sanctuary. And her distance isn't cruelty, it's clarity. She doesn't conform to the scripts handed to her by society, family, or tradition. She writes her own, quietly, powerfully, with precision. She doesn't need applause to know her worth, and she doesn't fear solitude because she's already learned how to stand alone and still feel whole. That's what sets her apart, not just her independence, but her intuitive discernment. She doesn't just see people, she reads them. She doesn't just hear words, she feels intention. And when the energy doesn't align, she exits without guilt, without revenge, and without turning it into a performance. To some, she's intimidating, to others, confusing. But to the few who truly understand her rhythm, she's a breath of fresh air, grounding, rare, and magnetic. Her presence demands nothing but reveals everything. And those who earn her trust, her loyalty, her heart, they experience a depth of connection that's impossible to manufacture or fake. She doesn't fight to prove her worth, she simply lives it. Every moment, every boundary, every graceful exit. Her evolution isn't loud, but it is absolute. And once she's outgrown a space, a relationship, or a reality, there's no returning. Not out of pride, but because she's moved on to a level of self-respect that no longer allows her to shrink. So if the world finds her too quiet, too intense, too selective, so be it. She was never meant to blend in. She was born to stand in her truth, even if it means standing alone. And in a world drowning in noise, that kind of silence, it echoes forever. If this spoke to your soul, if even one line made you pause, reflect, or feel seen, then don't just scroll away. Hit that subscribe button and join a community that values depth over noise, authenticity over performance, and truth over trend. Like this video if you're tired of surface-level content and you're ready for more real, raw insight that cuts through the fluff. Drop a comment below. Let us know what resonated most with you, or just say, "I see her," if you felt the power of the Sigma female. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to read. And share this video with someone who needs to understand why some women aren't cold, difficult, or too much. They're just on a frequency the world isn't ready for. This isn't just content, this is clarity. Let's keep building something real. Together. We'll see you in the next one.